Hi, everybody. Hey, hope everybody's having a great week coming into Christmas. Thought I would do a little live stream here for everybody. In fact, let me put my headphones in. Give me a minute to get set up. No viewers at the moment. All right. Testing, testing. Check, check. Mic check. 1, 2. All right. Not bad. Hope everyone's having a great week. Leading into Christmas, busy few days here. We're actually going to try to go over everything that I can do through Christmas, including today. I will note, guys, NFL, I have not been doing very well. In fact, piss poor. Tonight, I do have the Jets -2 against Jacksonville as we start week 16. Most of the action is Saturday instead of Sunday, although there is some Sunday action. We'll get into that. College basketball, I have been doing well. Picked up a huge win last night. We had San Francisco was the best bet. About midway through the first half, they were 20 points up on the visitors ranked Arizona State, and they basically pounded them very badly, which was good for us. And I did get off the bowl game schneid with a win with Western Kentucky yesterday, 2-3 in the bowls. Won the first one, lost 3, got back in the win column yesterday with Western Kentucky. So for the action on Thursday, might as well just start with the bowl game action. We're going to play Baylor. I've got Baylor against Air Force. I think Baylor, perhaps offensively, physically, will be able to manhandle Air Force a little bit. I'm interested to see how the Air Force attack will play against Baylor. I mean, this hasn't been the best Air Force team, but they are on a 4-game winning streak. They got the pretty good win, I would say, 13-3 against San Diego State. It's been about a month ago. And a lot of time it boils down to who wants to be here and playing this game. This game is in Fort Worth, Texas. While it's not a home game for Baylor, you would think that their fan base would make this trip. You know, the alum, the boosters, they'll make this trip up here to Fort Worth and back the Baylor Bears. And like I say, I think physically they're just going to be a little more than Air Force can handle over a 60-minute period. Although, you know, it is bowl season. And like I said, sometimes you get teams that don't want to be there and their play on the field will reflect the fact that they do not want to be there. But for me, I say take Baylor -3.5 in the bowl game. Tomorrow, one of the biggest bowl games I have for the season is I'm going to back Wake Forest. Right now it's -1.5 as they play Missouri out of the SEC. Wake Forest, they lost their last game 34-31 at Duke. Prior to that, they had won 45-35 at Syracuse. Here's what I like about Wake Forest and what is difficult for other teams to prepare for is their style of offense. They do these long pause and these read plays. And it's called the mesh. They call it the mesh point. They do a long delay while the quarterback reads how the defense is reacting to the play. And they can get some really big plays off these gimmicky style offensive sets. Now, typically, the one that you can always look for from Wake Forest is the mesh point pause. He'll sit there with the ball in the belly of the running back for several seconds. Long delay. And the tight end will run straight up the field while everybody's frozen in place looking at the quarterback and the running back. The tight end can usually sneak behind them. And that's a big play for Wake Forest. And like I say, a lot of odd formations, jet sweep type plays. Just a very difficult offense to contain. Missouri 6-6 on the season. They have won their last 2 games. Arkansas, ice cold, struggling down the stretch, 29-27 winner there. What you worry about with Missouri is that defense. And I think Wake Forest, with that offense, is just going to have their way, put up a lot of points. not that Wake Forest can really stop anybody. Uh, so you perhaps if you're a totals guy, expect a lot of points to be put up here. In fact, let's take a peek and see what they currently have this total listed at for the Wake Forest Missouri game. 58.5 is predominantly the number. This number has come down. It was 62, as I see now, as an opening line. So it's dropped significantly from the opening line. Game is being played in Tampa, Florida, Raymond James Stadium, home of the Buccaneers. My gut says there's going to be a lot of points scored. Like I say, the Wake Forest offense is hard to contain. Their defense is not that great, so they're susceptible to giving up a lot of big plays. So we'll see how this plays out. Play for me is Wake Forest, lay the 1.5. I think that's going to be your safer play. And I do think the points go up also. But the play there will be Wake Forest. And that's so far up to Christmas, that was the best bowl bet that I had. And moving forward past Christmas, I got to do a complete new slate of predictions for the remaining bowl games. I haven't quite got that far yet. So look forward to that coming up later after Christmas. Perhaps so we can sneak in another live stream and discuss that as well. What else do we have here? We can go today. Not much action in the NBA. It's a lighter slate. We can take a quick peek here. Last night, I did play Boston. Man, they were down 30 points by halftime. They actually made a pretty good run at it coming down the stretch in the fourth quarter, but the Pacers were able to hold on and get the win over the Celtics, who have now lost 3 straight games. Tonight, you got the Spurs playing the Pelicans. Pelicans currently 8-point favorite. Let me pull up the current NBA odds here. I've got 8 on my app. Yeah, a lot of 8s and 8.5s are up for the Pelicans. Total of 228 currently. Looking for any significant, no Zion Williams. So that's what's unusual here. You got the Pelicans, the line open at 7.5, now 8.5 predominantly. It's showing Zion Williamson out with COVID-19. Ingram's been out for a while with a toe injury. Johnson, game time decision with a hamstring for the Spurs, as is Podol with a knee injury, game time decision for the Spurs. I did not take this game, but just the fact there's no players for New Orleans. I mean, both the studs are out. Williamson has been playing good. When he's on the court, you can see this guy has potential, but I think he's a bit overrated. He reminds me a little bit of a swollen Larry Johnson, if you can remember back to his game, how he was just a bull in the China shop until he had his back injury. And after he had that surgery on his back, Larry Johnson was never quite the same player. But there was a period of time when he left college, UNLV, came into the league. He was just a dominant force inside the paint for his size. And it's kind of the way Zion Williamson, just that athleticism, that burst to the rim, tough to contain, tough to deal with, big body. But there is long-term concerns for him, and we'll see how his game develops. He needs to develop other parts of his game, but he's a good player. Without him on the court, I think that might leave the Pelicans a little short. I would definitely lean to the Spurs in this game tonight. We had the Spurs in their last game. I do remember taking them, and it was a straight-up winner, yes. They were getting points at the Houston Rockets, and they were able to get a 124-105 win. So the Spurs coming in off a win to face the Pelicans tonight. In the other game, the Wizards play the Utah Jazz. Jazz in off a win 126-111 on Tuesday against the Detroit Pistons. And the Washington Wizards also in off a win 1-9 their last 10. They snapped their long losing streak with a 113-110 win over the Wizards on Tuesday night. In this game, I actually played the Wizards. I noticed in a lot of their losses, they were reasonably close. They did get pounded in a few, but they lost by 2 to the Lakers, lost by 7 to the Clippers, 4 to the Bulls, 1 to the Hornets. So they're able to keep a lot of these games competitive. And for this game tonight, I did play the Washington Wizards +6 as they travel to play the Utah Jazz in a very limited NBA slate. They do play a pretty good slate on Friday, and that was set up for the Christmas Day NBA action. I guess we could take a peek at this. Go ahead and go over this action for Christmas Day. This will be your games played on Sunday, December 25th. Starts early, last all day. Philadelphia -2 at the New York Knicks. Knicks, I do believe, just got their long losing streak snapped with a loss last night at home to the Raptors. Long been in this little jail where I like Philadelphia at home, but way more cautious when playing them on the road. I think the Knicks, their line value has been great, even though they were on the winning streak. They still weren't laying very many points. Joel Embiid, 32 points a game, 10 rebounds, almost 5 assists. So he is playing great. Randall, also pretty solid effort, 22 points a game, 9.3 rebounds, and 3.6 assists. For that first game, I'm going to lean over and play the I'm going to play the New York Knicks at home +2 against the 76ers. And in your second game, the Dallas Mavericks, 16-16. Been kind of a disappointing start to the season for the Mavericks. They did win last night, 104-99 over the Timberwolves. They're 5-5 their last 10, 16-16 on the season. Next game, they do play before the Christmas Day game. They do play at the Houston Rockets. We'll see how that one probably goes. And then the Lakers, they're just terrible team right now. I watched some of their games, a few of them, and I noticed that LeBron appears to be playing really good, hard. He's fighting, but the rest of the team stinks. A lot of this could probably be contributed or attributed to the front office of the Lakers just simply not getting the kind of players that they need to have on the court. Probably should have dealt Anthony Davis. I hate to say it, but the guy is Glass Joe from the game Punch Out. If you're an 80s guy like me, Glass Joe was the first opponent you'd faced in Punch Out. And even if you didn't know how to play the game well, if you could hit the punch button, you would hit Glass Joe, and he went down pretty easy. And that's pretty much the way the Lakers have played all season. 13-18 are the Lakers. They've lost 2 in a row, 4-6 in their last 10. Just been a total train wreck, this team. Even if you don't like LeBron James, you almost have to feel kind of bad for him. Maybe not, that the fact that he's stuck in a lousy situation in the twilight years of what has been a great career for LeBron James. So that game, I'm not exactly sure yet. I'm going to pass on that one for now. You got the Boston Celtics laying 3.5 points to the Milwaukee Bucks. Middleton, game time decision. Game time decision also for Marcus Smart, who obviously is a key player, especially defensively for the Celtics. Celtics just got, like I say, roped in the first half by the Pacers. Did play great in the second half, but in such a deep hole, they weren't able to climb out, and they did take the loss. Boston coming into this game at 22-10, losers of 3 straight, 4-6. Their last 10, 117-112. They lost by 5 points to the Pacers, and they outscored the Pacers by 23 points in the second half and still lost by 5. That tells you how pathetic that first half was for the Celtics. The Milwaukee Bucks, 22-9, slightly ahead now, first place, and they just took a 114-106 L at the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're 7-3 the last 10. Let's take a peek at the Milwaukee Bucks against the spread on the road. I can pull up their team report here. I use StatFox a lot. And let's see, the Milwaukee Bucks, 17-12-2 overall against the spread. Away games, okay, and home games, the Milwaukee Bucks are 12-5, 71% against the spread. However, on the road, they're 5-7-2, 41.7% on the road. Let's take a peek here. I just want to see on the road. They are, got them favored. Boston by 3.5. So they're a road underdog. And the Milwaukee Bucks are 2-4 this season as a road underdog. So when they're not predicted to win on the road, they're not a good bet. And I do like Boston in this game, in spite of the 3-game losing streak. I think they get to come in. Sometimes it's hard to figure who has the tougher psychological position in these kind of Christmas Day type games. You're at home, your family, your kids, probably everybody's at home. You leave them and you go play a game, then come back. Is your mind in the right place? Whereas if you're on the road sometimes, you're as a group, you're traveling, and you probably have a little bit more focus. I always say especially after long road trips, that first game back home, typically, you're returning home, a lot of business, family, women, children, a lot of things being thrown at you that first day back off a long road trip. But in this situation, I think I will lean to Boston. In fact, that there's a possibility that may be my best bet. Although that 3.5 is kind of a tough number, I'll consider that. But I do like Boston in that game. In the next game, the Memphis Grizzlies, 19-11, face the Golden State Warriors, 15-18. And Golden State has just been absolutely miserable on the road. Curry's out. Game time decision on Wiggins. Klay Thompson's trying to do everything offensively for this team right now. 2 straight losses. They got pounded by 30 points. Oh, wow. Trying to see. And they've been on an extended road trip. They finished it last night with Brooklyn. That was 6 straight road games where they went 1-5. I think they're 3-15 on the road now. Golden State. Last home game, they did beat the Celtics 123-107. They did have Stephen Curry in that game, though. He scored 32 points in the home win for the Golden State Warriors. Another one that's going to be tough for me to play. I'm not exactly just ready to jump on the Grizzlies in this game. But currently, it's just a really tough play to pick Golden State with all of their struggles, especially offensively. Defensively, they've never been a great team. See how this one plays out. I'm going to reserve judgment on that game for now as well. Probably have something a little more closer to Christmas. Phoenix Suns in the nightcap travel and face the Denver Nuggets, who now have the best record in the Western Conference at 19-11. They've won 2 straight games, 105-91 over the Grizz on Tuesday. They did take that loss at the Lakers. I'm counting their home wins 1, 2, 3, 4. And they lost one to the Mavericks 116, 115, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1. So 6-1 their last 7 at home for the Dallas Mavericks, or excuse me, the Denver Nuggets. And you have the Phoenix Suns. Booker probably game time decision with the groin. Until I know more about the condition of Booker, again, this will be a tough one to go with the limited information. Now, let me take a peek at the Phoenix Suns on the road. 17-15 overall against the spread. You're not going to do much with that. At home, they're 11-7, 61% against the spread. On the road, they're 6-8 against the spread, 43%. And in this game, let's take a quick peek here. For the line, they're showing it as Denver -2. So take a peek at away underdog. The Phoenix Suns are 2-3 straight up, but 3-2 against the number. It's actually one of their better ATS situational appearances here. Let's see. Yep. 3-2 against the spread as a road underdog are the Phoenix Suns. Again, I'll have to wait on that one. So for Christmas Day, the 2 games I like, I like the Boston Celtics the most of all these 5 games. And I'll also will take a stab with the Knicks. So 2 out of the 5 I have something for moving forward on the NBA. NFL, let's squeeze over here and go into the NFL and take a peek at everything here. Mentioned tonight, I do like the New York Jets at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville, we did play them last week against the Dallas Cowboys, and it looked like we were on a dead loser. Jacksonville rallied from behind and won on a pick six in overtime. They outscored the Cowboys 27-13 in the second half to tie the game at 34. Take a peek. Yeah, 5 seconds left, 48-yard field goal sent the game into overtime. And then a Prescott interception returned by Jenkins for 52 yards, 52-yard interception return for a touchdown was the game winner in overtime. Prescott had 2 picks. Trevor Lawrence, 4 touchdown passes for the Jaguars. Pretty sure most of that damage was done after they fell behind. Take a peek here. They are down 21-7 at the half. I just think that performance for Jacksonville was pretty damn good. Now they're going into what is going to be a tough situation. The Jets have lost 3 straight games, 7-7, desperate for a win. A very solid offensive team. Really loved Detroit last week against the Jets, and they were able to pull it out. The Jets showed a lot of spunk getting the game tied up. But then the big play, or actually the Jets took the lead. I felt dead in the water, and then the Lions on a 4th and short get the 50-yard touchdown pass, and they held on to get the 2017 win over the Jets. I just think when you couple the fact of how well Jacksonville looked last week in a game they probably should have lost, I think the perception is going to be there that they do better tonight than I think they're going to do. Let's look for the weather to be a factor, the Jets defense to step up and give them what they need, and they'll be able to get past the Jacksonville Jaguars. I did get this game at -2. And as we're speaking, I see a couple books, 3 books actually have clicked this game up to the Jets -2.5. You'll see 2.5 at Circa. You'll see 2.5 at Station. And you'll also see 2.5 at the Mirage. Total has dropped significantly. Wondering if the weather factors into people's thinking on this. See it opening total of 42. Currently, a lot of 36.5. You got a couple 37s out there at Wynn, Mirage, and South Point. Looks like pretty much everywhere else you got 36.5 is the total in that game. Play for me, guys, is going to be on the New York Jets, and I took them at -2. Hey, there you go. Hey, what's up, Dario? Merry Christmas, buddy. Hope everything's going great for you, my man. Yeah, we're just talking about all the games, man. If there's anything you want to talk about, Dario, I got the screen pulled up now. Just throw it out here, buddy, and we can talk about anything. Next, I was going to go to NFL. Yeah, we can look ahead to Saturday. I'm going to be honest, I have not really dug in too deeply other than kind of going over the lines and my power ratings and stuff, but I haven't concretely made any plays for the Saturday NFL. But we can take a quick peek. And on Christmas Day, there's 3 games. I mentioned most of the action is on Saturday. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games early on Saturday. That is going to be on Christmas Eve. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 1 p.m. Eastern starts on Saturday. Wow. That's going to be a mad feast of football for Christmas Eve. Opening one I'm looking at here, the New Orleans Saints. Let's pull up the lines. Sometimes the app doesn't have the lines exactly the way it should be. Cleveland Browns -3 as they host the New Orleans Saints. Browns 6-8. They did get the win. They're 3-2 their last 5. They were able to get by, and I actually did have Cleveland in that game, 13-3 against the Baltimore Ravens. Still not sure what to make out of the Browns offensively. I mean, 6-8. I'm not sure if they're technically out of it. I not really have a lot of faith in Cleveland. Deshaun Watson, we'll figure out where he's at. Jadeveon Clowney ruled out due to concussion. Got a couple other people questionable. New Orleans, just not a very good team, right? They did beat the Falcons for me, but they didn't cover the damn number after going up. Oh, it was so disgusting. Yeah, they were up 21 to 10. Yeah. And they give up the touchdown midway through the fourth quarter. I kind of knew once, and the 2-point conversion. So that game literally came down to the 2-point conversion. And New Orleans did not cover that game against the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta goes into Baltimore, and they're 6.5-point underdogs. Tyler Huntley at the quarterback against Desmond Ritter. Ritter on the road. I mean, wow, what a crazy game to try to handicap here. Not exactly thrilled with what Huntley did. He's 2 interceptions, no touchdown passes. J.K. Robbins running. Cordell Patterson, pretty solid for the Falcons. Ritter, like I say, making that start on the road in a tough environment at Baltimore. That line, this is what I have to really give some more contemplation to. Right in my initial thoughts, looking at that line is, you kind of want to lean to the Falcons there, but certainly don't lock me in on that one. Cincinnati Bengals, a team that's coming on 10-4, 6 straight wins for Mr. Burrow. 34-23 against the Buccaneers last time, against the Patriots, who lost a devastating loss for them. They now sit at 7-7. Bonehead play of the year in a game where you're going to overtime. You're heading into overtime. Just take a knee. And instead, you end up throwing a lateral 20 yards back into the hands of the opposing team's player, who just casually saunters in for a game-winning touchdown on the final play of the game. That's one you can put in the archives. Is just sometimes you say, I've seen it all. I'm not sure I have seen that one before. That was a new one for me. Surprising, especially considering as a Belichick is the coach. I just can't imagine that's a play he put his check mark on. I mean, it was just an insane play. Patriots take the devastating loss in that game. Bengals are just hot. Patriots are desperate. That line is probably dead on where it needs to be, -3. Then you have to kind of think about intangibles. Like Bengals are hot and have been winning, so obviously they'll have no line value whatsoever. And the Patriots, off that devastating loss, you almost would lean to the Patriots there. But right now, as hot as the Bengals are, it's a tough proposition to bet against them. This is probably a game I would stay away from. But obviously a very intriguing matchup with the hot Bengals against the desperate Patriots on Saturday. Buffalo Bills, 8-point favorites against the Chicago Bears. I'll just say right off the top, I don't like Buffalo laying these kind of points. They seem to get into close games. If this comes down to winning and losing, yeah, I think Buffalo is capable, and I do like them to win a lot of games. But with this spread, I'm going to pull up the team report here and take a peek at Buffalo on the road. They're 6-7-1 against the spread all over the place. Chicago 5-8-1. Buffalo Bills on the road 3-3-1 against the spread. Not great. Chicago, let's see what they are at home against the spread. At home, the Chicago Bears are 3-3-1 against the spread. So the Bears are 3-3-1 against the spread at home, and the Buffalo Bills are 3-3-1 against the spread on the road. As an underdog, they're 5-7. That's the Bears. I'll just tell you, my gut says to take the Bears and the points, although they're probably not going to win this game. I can see Justin Fields is not an easy guy to contain. He had the what do you want to call it? The PlayStation turbo button touchdown last week with And I'm imagining he was wore out after he ran about 200 yards for a 40-yard touchdown, an incredible run. And that's the kind of plays he can make. And those should be scary when you're the opposing team laying more than a touchdown. Uh, my gut's telling me I will probably lean to the Bears in that game. New York Giants, 8-5-1. They did get the big win they needed last week to get some momentum back. They're 1-3-1 their last 5 games, and they got the 20-12 win against the Commanders. A lot of controversy at the end, but you know what? At the end of the day, they were up 8 points at the end, and the Commanders couldn't get the touchdown. Bottom line, 2012 win for the Giants. The Minnesota Vikings, what do you say about them, guys? I mean, it's been an unusual team. I had them last week and laying 3.5 points, and they come back from 33 points down to win by 3. Ugh, that was just so brutal. The week before, I predicted the loss to the Lions, and I predicted the win against the Jets, and I predicted the win. I think it was the best bet play to win against the Patriots. So it has been a team I've had some success calling their games. I say last week was just so disgusting. They didn't show up not ready to play. I put that on the coaching more than anything else. If you ask my opinion on that. And they're showing this one as, let's take a peek at the line here. Minnesota, a 4-point favorite over the New York Giants. And that's right on that kind of line. You just wonder how that's going to play out. Was that a great momentum beating the Commanders? That's a good question. Let's take a peek at the New York Giants on their team report. Let's get some idea of how they perform on the road against the spread. I got the Buffalo Bills up. Let's go to the New York Giants. They're 10-4 against the spread, and I'm assuming that means they're going to be pretty good on the road. They're 4-1 against the spread away from home. 8-2 as an underdog. And I tell you what, it actually does have that kind of feel to it. The Vikings rallying from a game they had no business winning, they won, and the Giants have been struggling and they get the win on the road last week. Yeah, I'll go ahead and say I probably like the Giants plus the 4 points in this game against Minnesota. Yeah, give me the New York Giants plus 4 against the Minnesota Vikings on Saturday. Detroit Lions minus 2.5. 7-7. The Lions won 3 straight games. 6-1 last time. I think they started 1-6. Now they're 7-7. They got the road win last week. The Panthers got beat at home by the Steelers. God, the Panthers have just been hard to predict. Sometimes they'll throw in a good game when you least expect it. But I definitely would have to back the Detroit Lions in this game, although on the road, they got the win last week in big fashion, though, against a team that is probably better than the Panthers and the New York Jets. So I get not best bet material, I don't think, but I will say give me the Detroit Lions in that game against the Carolina Panthers. Seattle Seahawks are 10-point underdogs for the Kansas City Chiefs, who required overtime last week to get by the Houston Texans. Kansas City covering spreads is just not that reliable. They're 5-9 against the spread, probably even worse at home. 2-4 at home covering the spread. 5-1 straight up. 5 of their 6 home games have went under the total. Just a tough game to really take either team. If you're going to force me to take this game, I'd have to take Seattle. But that double-digit spread is really tough. I remember I had a best bet play with Kansas City minus 9.5. They ended up winning by exactly 10. This one opened at 9.5, sits at 10. I tell you, I just basically would pass this game and look for a better one. Lean to Seattle, but no play really there for me. Tennessee Titans 3.5 against the Houston Texans. This is another one. Tennessee absolutely desperate. 4 straight wins. Hung tough with the Chargers. Tied it up late, but spit the bit defensively. 17-14 loss. Houston Texans look viable against Kansas City. Uh, I think everything kind of meshes here. I really do like. What are they showing here? This game open at 7, and Tannehill's questionable. And I'll say with the Titans, I'm not sure how much he means to this team. They're more of a defensive based team where they like to run and be physical. Quarterback's not out there to make a lot of plays. He's more a manager, hand the ball off, don't throw interceptions. I'm going to take Tennessee in this game. I'm going to tell you now. I'm looking at a line of 3. They got it juiced a touch, -115, -120 around the way. I like Tennessee in that game. The Titans looks like a good play to me on Saturday. Washington Commanders, 7-point underdogs as they face the San Francisco 49ers. Heineke, and tough loss there last week. First loss in 5 games for the Commanders, 20-12. As I mentioned, they were in position to try to tie it up late. Brock Purdy, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions since taking over. San Francisco's won 7 in a row. 8-point winners against Seattle last time, and I did have San Francisco. They did make the number. Their defense did play great. 7-point favorite to the Commanders. It's right on the verge of being a bit too much, but I like their defense here. I think San Francisco will cause problems with Heineke. I'm not sure if there's enough weapons from Washington offensively to put enough pressure on San Francisco to force them into calling plays that are going to be uncharacteristic for Purdy. I think the defense of San Francisco will help them field position wise and help take the pressure off Purdy. It's easy to be a quarterback in the NFL when you've got a defense that great. So I think I'm going to be taking, this is the afternoon, the 2:05, the late starts on Saturday. I like the San Francisco 49ers. Probably the highlight game of the day. It looks like the Philadelphia Eagles against the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas, again, that devastating they fell apart, man. Vikings came out and saying, wish I would have been in the locker room for that halftime. I see you there. Yeah, Dario. I can only imagine. I wish they would have had that halftime speech before the game so you don't fall behind 33-0. And then, they just played great. They played the second half like I hoped they would have played the game. You should be ashamed of yourself. And if you watched the first half, you saw it was just a comedy of errors. The blocked punt, the fumble from Cook after a big play, the pick near your own goal line. It was just like literally every single thing the Vikings did in the first half of that game was like a team with no motivation, no direction. I mean, if I'm coaching that team, I would have probably went insane on the field before halftime. I don't think I'd have been able to sit there and wait till halftime the way that game was going. But I put a lot of that on the coaches. I mean, if your team at home, and obviously, Vikings need to keep winning. And right now, you got the Eagles, and I was at the Eagles Cowboys. Eagles are 13-1 on the season. Dallas Cowboys 10-4. What a tough loss they took. Let's take a quick peek. 5 straight wins for the Eagles. They did not cover last week. I stayed far away from that game. 25-20. They did not make the number. Did like them against the Titans. Trying to look back through here. I did have Philadelphia against the Colts. Another just where they played like shit and then pulled it out at the very end. Let's take a peek at Philadelphia on the road. And I'll tell you the way Dallas played last week, I probably expect to see the very best effort possible out of the Cowboys this week. This is a big statement game for them. Whereas Philadelphia, I don't really think it means as much. Although, they want to maintain that distance for the number 1 seed in the NFC. But, how much pressure is really on them at this point to perform? Dallas at home against the spread. They're 5-3, 7-1 straight up. They've been a tough beat. Who did beat Dallas in Dallas this year? Let's take a peek. They had to rally from behind to beat the Texans 54-19 against the Colts, 28-20 against the Giants, 49-29 against the Bears, 24-6 against the Lions, 25-10 against the Commanders. So their only loss, the Dallas Cowboys' only home loss this season was in the season opener, and they looked horrible, 19-3 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Dallas has won every single home game since then. Not sure exactly the full motivation for the Eagles in this game. Obviously, everything is on the line for the Cowboys. Doubtful Jalen Hurts. Sometimes you can get suckered into making that bigger deal than it should be. And this line just keeps moving up. I definitely would say the Cowboys is the play to make here. Not sure exactly how much I can put on Dallas in a situation where Dallas will always disappoint you when you think you got something figured out with the Cowboys. They'll lay an egg. I just think this is a huge spot for them. They have to try to win this game, and they've been successful at home, 7-1. And 5.5 points makes you take a pause, but without Hurts, you wonder how much that's going to slow down the Philadelphia offense. So give me the Cowboys in that one. And then the night game, the Raiders against the Steelers. And the Steelers just look great on the road, too. Both teams 6-8. I never had any success, and the Raiders are 4-1 their last 5. I never had any success taking the Steelers, picking their games here lately. It's just been tough. The Raiders lost 17-16 at the Rams. They came back, should have won that game. I tell you, just the way the Steelers looked pretty decent on the road last week, my gut is telling me to take the Raiders here. And even off that stunning way they won last week, I probably will lean to the Raiders in that game. Don't lock me down on it, but early lean. So out of these games on Saturday, the one I really like, Tennessee, I like the looks of that. Detroit, the Giants. Perhaps Chicago. Let's count those. Tennessee's 1, Detroit 2, Giants 3, Bears 4, San Francisco 5. Maybe drop the Bears off, put the Cowboys on. I have to think about it, but that gives you kind of an idea of what I'm looking at for Saturday in the NFL. And we've done the NBA. We did the bowl game for Wake Forest. Let's get to NCAA basketball, guys. This is the one thing I have actually had some pretty good success over the duration of the season. Like I mentioned, I think I mentioned off the top, I had San Francisco as my best bet last night. 3.5-point underdogs to ranked Arizona State. And about midway through the first half, San Francisco led 31-11. And it just kind of got worse from there. They never let up. Really good game. And what I liked about that game prior to making the play a lot was San Francisco, I know, is a solid team, but they were playing in War Memorial Coliseum, which is basically, let's put it this way, it's kind of a big home court advantage. I compared them to a team like St. Mary's that also plays in one of these kind of gyms that if you're coming in on the road, it's not an easy place to play in. Everything's unusual. It's not an arena. It's not exactly a high school gym, but it's kind of got more of that feel to it. And then they just ran Arizona State out of the gym last night. So let's get into what I like today in college basketball. We'll start with the ones that aren't the best bets. I see here I have Missouri +6. I think they are hosting Illinois. This is going to be kind of awkward. There's quite a few games here. That one hasn't started yet. Why do I not see it? Illinois. Yeah, there it is. Illinois, Missouri. Missouri's a competent team. Illinois, I think, they can play some duds. And I mean, they got crushed at home against Penn State. I did have them in that win at Texas. Sorry, Illinois, and then they lost at Maryland, lost versus Virginia. Um, yeah, I just think this could be a tough game for them. Missouri 10-1. I did have them as a best bet when they played Wichita State, and they did not play great in the second half. They did finish the last couple minutes strong, forced overtime, and was able to get the cover in overtime. So I felt kind of lucky. And they did win their last game 68-66 at UCF. UCF, and say, gave Missouri no credit there again, but Missouri was able to pull that game out at the finish. So I have noticed that Missouri has finished these games, especially on the road. A lot of times, that's the toughest thing to do is finish. But they've shown the ability to do that, and I like them in the spot, getting a decent amount of points at home against Illinois. Another game I do have on here that I like, Charlotte plus 11. I believe is UAB is their opponent. Pull up the game, blah, blah, blah. Yes, UAB. The Charlotte Niners, both teams come into this game 9-2. Charlotte's won 5 straight games. Crushed a terrible Monmouth team. And I did have Detroit. Charlotte covered, won the game 82-80 against Detroit, but did not cover. They won a game at Davidson, which is never an easy place to play. So, I mean, I think Charlotte's not a terrible team in Conference USA. We'll see how it plays out during the course of the season. But UAB, I think, will have their hands full here tonight with Charlotte. And getting 11 points, you're just like, hey, I like it. So give me Charlotte in that game. And the other one I have is Loyola of Illinois against Stanford. I think this is more than it is an endorsement of Loyola of Illinois. I do like the way that they will control tempo and style and pace a game. And I think Stanford's style will kind of feed into it. So expect a slower tempo, lower scoring game because of it. And Loyola, well coached enough, they'll get their shots when they need them. If they make them, they can easily win this game, I think. And I just think Stanford against a quality team in Loyola, that's questionable, but they're now playing in the A10, which is a tougher basketball league. I think they're a decent opponent, and I think Stanford's getting a little too much respect here with that 5.5 point spread. Go ahead and just say it. I think Loyola's going to come in here and steal this game tonight. So give me Loyola, and they're playing in Santa Cruz in the Kaiser Permanente Arena. You can watch this game on the Pac-12 network. And I like Loyola, Illinois, to beat Stanford tonight. And then finally, in college basketball, I have my best bet of the night. And I'll take a quick peek. Yes, 27-16 on the season. I don't have my calculator with me. 27 divided by 43, 63%, 62, yeah, somewhere in there. We're going to back tonight with our best bet. We're going to take NC State, laying a lot of points. Not exactly overjoyed laying these points, but I think they're finding a great spot here. Louisville, 2-10 on the season, just an absolute train wreck. Got beat at home handily by Lipscomb as a favorite. The only game they won, they beat Florida A&M. They were 17-point favorites. They beat them by 6. I don't even know if Louisville's covered a game. The ACC games, they lost by 22 to Florida State, by 27 to Miami. They've lost by 26, by 32, by 19, by 25. Every major conference team that they've played, it's been 19 points or higher. And they're playing on the road against NC State, who is a team that likes to run, that likes to push, that likes to score points, which I think in this situation will help them get this cover. They weren't great in their last game. They played in Chicago, the United Center. They're 5.5-point favorites against Vanderbilt, and they were only able to come away with a 70-66 win. And I did bet against them, against the Miami. I had Miami as the best bet last Saturday, or that was actually 2 Saturdays ago, and they had Miami right where they wanted them, 15, 17-point lead early, but Miami was able to push the gas pedal in the last 5 minutes and get the cover against NC State. And one disappointing game that I did go against NC State was Pittsburgh. And I think I even mentioned in that game, Pittsburgh was a 9-point underdog that they had a chance to beat NC State in that game. And they actually did, 68-60. I just think here in this spot, last game before 8 days off, I think the motivation's there for NC State. It's an ACC game. You definitely want to win these bad boys. You can't, any ACC game you can get, you want to try to get it. And right now they're 0-2 in the league. Yeah, 0-2 start to their ACC season. I think they get a huge win tonight. Let's go ahead and give you a score. Let's go with NC State 82, Louisville 57, 82-57, 25-point win for the Wolfpack at home. And that is my NCAA basketball best bet for your action on Thursday, December 22nd. I think I've went through everything. If we want to try to do a real quick recap for the action today, NFL, I like the New York Jets -2. In the NBA tonight, I took the Wizards +6 against the Utah Jazz. I took Baylor in the bowl game. And in college basketball, I took 4 plays with the best bet being NC State, along with the action plays of Missouri, Charlotte, and Loyola of Illinois. All right, I think I've rambled on quite enough. 2 thumbs up. Hey, man, I appreciate the thumbs up, guys. I really do. It means a lot. And thank you for tuning in, everybody that came by and checked this out. And hopefully, if you didn't have time to watch it live, you can catch a recap of this replay and perhaps get on the action. NC State is the top bet of the day. I like it the most against Louisville. 82-57 is my predicted score. I'm going to end this live stream, guys. I appreciate you for tuning in. I appreciate all the support you give me for my channel. Say thumbs up if you like the content. Be sure to subscribe, click the notification bell. You'll be alerted whenever I can get more videos. Expect more videos, the normal style I have been putting out after the holidays. It's just been kind of insane here during the past few weeks. It's been a lot tougher to get these videos shot, edited, and published. It's been busy, but I'll get back to it, I promise, guys. And I just wanted to throw this live stream in. I might try to do a little bit of horse racing. Don't want my wife to hear about the horse racing. Might sneak a few in this afternoon. Appreciate you, everybody, tuning in. Like I say, Merry Christmas. Thanks for the support of the channel. Best of luck to everybody with all of your action. Jets in the NFL, NC State in college basketball. That's the 2 plays. If you're going to play tonight, 2 plays for you to really give some consideration to. Best of luck, and I'll catch you in the next live stream, guys. I'm going to check out. And thanks, Dario, for your comments. I appreciate it, buddy. Good luck to you tonight. Merry Christmas also. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.